All right, so this week we made some pretty important progress on YamTasks. One of the key feature changes or upgrades is the ability to have nested tasks. So we can have a bunch of tasks like listed here, and then if we want to create a nested task, we drag one into the other, and then it will create a nested task. And this way we can have tasks that are organized into multiple subtasks, and these subtasks can also have subtasks themselves. When they're displayed, initially they'll be closed, but you can also open them up so you can access the individual subtasks pretty easily. Another important change was just overall streamlining of the task interface. We're slowly making this interface so that it continues to feel more consistent. So here's one of the things that we've been working on, or that I've been working on, is when you open it up, the task details shows up in a side menu, which we're calling a panel, or side panel, I should say. And you can also view the completed and canceled in here. It used to be by default, this panel was open, and I think I'm actually going to change it back to that. But one of the aspects of it that I didn't like, and also I got some feedback that it was maybe not the greatest as well, is that by default, when you get to any channel, it's showing this activity list. And when you're looking at the channel task items, and then at the same time, when you pop it open the first time, you get this activity list, your attention is not really drawn to the main thing in most cases, which is the task list items. And so I think an optimization will be just to have this details page open, but when it's open, there's a better way to show this, is it should just say something in here that's like, click to show the details for a task list item. So basically leaving this blank. The idea is that then this area will be, there won't be a lot of attention on it. There won't be a lot of information. It will be kind of, probably the text in it will be grayed out as well. And that way you get the focus on the actual task list items. As soon as you move an item to one of these areas, though, so like let's say we're taking a look at this item over here. When you click it, one of the challenges in terms of UI was that you want to know what happened to it so that you can bring it back if you clicked it by mistake. So like let's say we complete this and it disappears off of this list. In our case here, it shows up now immediately in the completed list, and so you can switch this back to your to-do, and then you can see it pop up over here. And so you can complete it, and then you see it over here, and then you can change this back and it appears over here. I think an optimization to this would most likely be that when it moves over here, it kind of gets a highlight or an animation so that you can see that this has moved over to there. And I also noted that when let's see if I move this back, I changed this one, but then this one was highlighted. And so I think we should de-highlight whatever it is before we do the move so that when we go back, the wrong thing, it looks like this one is the one that got moved back instead of the other thing. Another optimization I made was that like how are these organized? And so now if I change something to a high priority, instead of it staying over here, it automatically sorts based on priority. And furthermore, it also sorts based on whether things are in progress or are in the to-do phase. In the case of in progress or to-do phase changes, I sorted these with sections, so it makes it really clear that you're looking at things that are in progress versus in to do. Visually, the status, as in like whether it's or sorry, the priority, as in whether it's a high priority, medium priority, or low priority, it's pretty obvious from um, the kind of like checkbox icons what these statuses are. And so because of that, I don't have another section break. And also, I think having too many section breaks just adds too much noise. Another thing you'll notice is, let's see if I can find here. If you don't actually have any items in the in progress phase, it just shows them. And this is kind of this idea of progressive, I guess, enhancement or progressive or organic usage. I don't know what the right term is, but basically you don't see things until you need to see them. And so since everything is just a to-do task, it doesn't make a lot of sense or add any benefit to show that there is the ability to have an in progress section, and some people might just use it as a task list. But if you do start using them to track, which ones are in progress or not, then it gets moved into this second section, and it also creates both sections for you. Another thing that's related to this is if you're dragging and dropping these items, let's say I drag this over to here, you'll notice that underneath where it says one task here, it says change to high priority. And so one of the weird side effects is if you drag this up until here and it's trying to preserve the priority or use a sort based on the priority, that when you drag it into here, it would actually drop over to here because the sort order might have been updated, but since it's sorting by priority first, it would have dropped it over here instead. And so this fixes that by when you drag into a different zone, basically, like if you drag it up here, it will actually change it to an in progress. So there's probably some UI changes we could use to make this a little better as well, in that if you drag it in here automatic or accidentally, there should be some sort of undo feature, and that will be helpful for times where you make a mistake and you don't quite immediately remember, or you don't want to bother with thinking about it, what the priority or the status was before the drop. And maybe it'll just be something here where it says, a button, black icon or black button or something that says undo changes, something like that. All right, so that is what I've been working with the YamTasks, and I'm continuing to think about the Yam plan sort of idea or the second brain idea. And there is some progress there. The main thing is this idea that, and I may have talked about it to some degree, is that the pages or the things that you stick into the second brain type of knowledge-based app fall into one of three categories. They seem to always be of a hierarchical nature, which is when you've got the tree or table of contents on the left and you can organize them however you want. In some cases, you've got things on the left where it acts like a folder, and the contents always need to be organized by date. So that's the case where when we're making journal entries, or in many cases meeting notes, that we want to sort by date. And the third is when you're dropping things in and it's kind of like a heap where it's just a bunch of information, things like, I put this tool over in the storage room, so I remember where it is. It doesn't really matter when it was added, or there's no specific date around it. Although in the case of the heap and the kind of journal entries, they might be able to be merged into one, because although a heap doesn't rely on a date so much, it doesn't hurt that it's sorted by when it was inserted by date. And it could also potentially deconflict some entries. So if I added this tool goes to this place and they're sorted by date, you kind of know that the newer one is probably the more accurate one. So anyways, that is what I'm working on this week. And I'll probably continue to work on improving YamTasks, maybe deploying this into production and seeing if I can give this out to a few close people to have them tested. All right, thank you. And that's it for this week.